When I was a kid, I don't know, about 8 or 9 years old, my family would take me out on weekends and we'd go exploring old ghost towns, mines, caves, and other places like that. There was a bunch of us, including all my uncles, aunts, their girlfriends, wives, etc. They all had 4x4s, and we found all kinds of cool places. One time we were at a place called Gardner Canyon in Arizona. We drove down a wash, no road, as far as we could go, and everyone started drinking beer, having lunch, and exploring the area, mostly looking for old mines. Someone found what they thought was a cave entrance, so we all grabbed our flashlights, some rope, and headed for the entrance. It wasn't much more than a crack, and not big at all, but about 8 feet in, someone had carved steps going down to where it opened up into a tunnel about 7 feet high and 5 feet wide. Right there on the wall was a rock shelf with a small glass jar of dried up ink and a bigger jar on its side with a small notebook. When they read it, it said Rosemary Vita was the name of the cave/mine, and there were only 3 signatures next to different dates. The last date on the book was 1927. Anyway, we went in and there were huge stalagmites and stalactites all over the place. You could see where somebody had been digging different tunnels looking for gold, I guess. We went as far as we could until we came to a place where there was a rope hung from part of a tree someone had put up in the ceiling, and that's how you got down to the next level. It was getting pretty late, so we all agreed to come back the next weekend. So the next weekend, we explored the cave/mine as far as it went. But it was strange. We never found any mining tools, old cans, lanterns, or anything you would expect to find. We went there many times, and I thought I knew the place pretty well. The last time I went there, we went in and found what looked like a small canoe someone had carved out of a tree. It was being used to move dirt from new tunnels people had been digging. Obviously, we weren't the only ones who knew about this place. But again, it was strange they didn't have any tools or anything laying around besides that dirt sled. When we got to the part where you had to rope down, we saw that part of the ceiling had collapsed. And there was a rock with what looked like blood on it. It was pretty creepy. A few of the guys went down first to look around, half expecting to find a dead body. But unless it was buried by the cave-in, no dead body was found. I was getting bored waiting to rope down and was looking around behind everyone when I saw a tunnel I'd never seen before. It was very small, but I went in just far enough to shine my light and saw that it looked like it went down to the next level. I thought, wow, everybody's going to freak out when I just show up down there without roping down. The tunnel was really tight, even for me, and I was only like 9 or 10. Anyway, I had to wiggle down with my arms out in front of me. At one point, it went down at almost a 45-degree angle and turned. But because I could hear them talking, I was sure it opened up into the next level, or maybe a new part of the cave. I kept going, and when I turned the corner, I was horrified to discover it was a dead end. Here I was in this tunnel that was wet and slippery, with my feet still at a very steep angle, and I realized I was stuck. I totally panicked and started yelling for help, but they couldn't hear me. Then I really freaked out when I thought about the fact that when they couldn't find me, they probably wouldn't even see this small tunnel. They'd think I went back out of the cave, and even if they did look in here, they couldn't see me without coming in around the turn. Plus, there's no way an adult could fit in here. Now I was in code red mode, crying and still yelling for help. I thought it couldn't get any worse, and that's when it hit me. I was running out of air. The tunnel was so tight, very little air could get to my head. I was terrified I was going to pass out and die. So I did my best to calm down, stop yelling or breathing hard, but the air was getting bad fast. I tried to push myself backward, but because I couldn't bend my elbows, it wasn't working. So one arm at a time, I got my hands behind me to my sides and literally crawled with my hands and fingers an inch at a time going backwards up that steep, slick angle. And it was taking forever, and I was using up more and more air. I was getting lightheaded, and I could hear them now looking for me. But I was afraid to yell because it would take too much oxygen, and I wasn't sure they'd hear me anyway. Several times I had to stop and decide whether to take a break, to slow down my breathing, or keep going and risk passing out. I guess the worst part was when I heard someone say he had to have gone back to the truck. and I could hear their voices trail off. I could hear them leaving the cave. Then I don't know how much longer, but it was a while later. I could tell I was almost out of the tunnel, but my flashlight was out. Shit. Sorry. I could tell I was almost out of the tunnel because I could breathe fresh air again. But it was pitch black and my flashlight was at the bottom of the hole. So here I was in pitch blackness, by myself, all alone, scared to death, freaking out. But I kind of knew the cave, pretty well. So I just started feeling my way all the way back to the entrance. It took me forever. When I finally got out there, I was thinking, sorry. I was thinking they're not even going to believe me, but I didn't even care. I just sat down outside the entrance and all my emotions came flooding out. I just wailed and screamed at the top of my lungs, the most guttural, triumphant scream I've ever uttered in my entire life. Then I heard someone yell my name, and for some reason I just started laughing. Covered in mud, my eyes wet with tears, bloody fingertips, some of my fingernails ripped off, and snot all over my face. I laughed and cried as I made my way down the hill to the wash. Damn, writing this was hard. I almost feel like I got freaking PTSD from this shit.